So today we're going to be adding another tool to our math tool belt for addition strategies, and that strategy is making a 10. This is a really important strategy because 10 is the number that makes up our entire math system. I always like to tell students that 10 is the magical number because 10 ones turn into 110, and 10 tens turn into 100, and 10 hundreds turn into 1,000, and on and on and on. So if you can get your brain to start thinking in tens, then you will have more success doing mental math as math gets more difficult. Our essential question all along has been, what strategies can I use to add and subtract? We've learned a few, such as doubles or using a number line or adding on, and today we're going to look at making 10. Okay, so this is a review problem, and it says use near doubles to find the sum. What two doubles facts helped you find the sum? So let's look here. We learned the other day that we can do a doubles to find a near doubles. I always like to start with the smaller number, which in this case is 7. So I'm going to double 7, and I know 7 plus 7 equals 14. And then since I'm adding 7 plus 8, I just need to add on one more, doubles plus 1. So that would equal 15. Now, it says what two doubles facts helped you because you could think of it as double 8, which equals 16, and then because one of them is 7 and not 8, we'd have to take away 1 to also get to 15. Okay, we are going to do a quick check here. I'd like for you to grab your whiteboard marker, an eraser, or your math journal and a pencil, and go ahead and solve these two problems, and then your directions say, then write the doubles fact that helped you to solve them. So I'd like for you to do that too. That's going to go here, and then you need to put your answers in there on your journal or whiteboard. Please pause and solve these two problems, and then you can push play when you are finished. Okay, so I'm going to go again with the lower number. I know 5 plus 5 equals 10, plus one more equals 11. Same thing here, I'm going to go with the lower one and add on one, so 8 plus 8 equals 16. I know I can add in any order, right? And then I'm going to add on one more, so that becomes 17. Please check your answers. Is that what you got? All right, so we are going to be making a 10 today to help us add, and these are a tool that you most likely saw in first grade. We call them 10 frames, and we'll be using 10 frames and counters in this math lesson. I have put a 10 frame onto your schoolwork app so you can print that off to help you or print a couple of them off, and then you do have red and yellow counters in your math manipulative bag. Okay, so for this one, we are going to place between 6 and 9 objects in the left work mat and 5 and 9 objects in the right work mat, and then we're going to make a 10 using objects from the right work mat to add the objects. So let's start with, it says between 6 and 9. So let's go with 7. So we've got 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then it says to place between 5 and 9, and the other one, I'm going to use yellow for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now it says make a 10 in the left work mat using objects from the right work mat to add the objects. So originally, our math problem here is 7 plus 5. Okay, but that's not an automatic fact for me. So what I can do is I can then take some from this right one and fill up to make a 10. So I'm going to do that now. Watch. 1, 2, 3. And now this math problem has become 10 plus 2. And anything with 10, because of the identity property, we know that when we add 0 and 2, we're going to get 2. So this is going to turn into 12. And we didn't we just moved these counters around. We didn't actually add any extras or take away any. We just moved them around. So because of that, that means that 7 plus 5 also equals 12. Okay, so now I need you to grab your math book, and you can go to page 29, and you're going to need your counters as well. You're actually going to need specifically 13 counters. So please pause, and you can push play after you have page 29 and 13 red and yellow counters. Okay, if you're listening, that means you should have your book open to page 29 with your red and yellow counters. You're going to take 13 of them, shake them up in your hands, and drop them on your paper. Any red ones are going to go in the top, and any yellow ones are going to go in the bottom. So I'm going to do this electronically and pretend like I am shaking them up and dropping them. Okay, so then it said to put the red ones in the top, so I'm going to drag these over to my 10 frame. You're putting your actual counters in your 10 frames as well, and then I'm going to put the yellow ones in the bottom. Oops. That one doesn't want to stay, does it? Well, that's silly. Not sure why it's doing that. Hopefully yours are staying on yours. Okay, so maybe I could draw these instead. Okay, so now we've got our two equations. Would be the first one would be 5, because we have 5 red, and 8 because we have 8 yellow. But that's not a super easy fact for me, so instead I'm going to make a 10. So I'm going to move up, I'm going to move up these counters from the yellow ones to my, to my red one until I fill this top frame, because my goal is to get to 10. Okay, so now I have 10 in that top frame, and I'm left with, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, I'm left with 3 down here in the bottom frame. So now because I made a 10, my equation has changed from 5 to 8, from 5 plus 8 to 10 plus 3. 10 plus 3 is an easier fact for me because I know right away that that's 13, because 0 plus 3 is 3, and then that 10 stays the same. So that means that 5 plus 8 must also equal 13. Now, yours is going to look a little different than mine based on how many reds and yellows fell out on your paper. So that's okay if yours is different, because you had different color counters. All right, so now we're going to look at our guided practice. It says you can make a 10 to help you add. Find 8 plus 4, and then you're going to take apart 4 to make a 10. So we're going to move these 2 guys up to the 10 frame to make a full 10 right here. Okay, and then we end up with 10 and 2, so that's 10 plus 2, which ends up equaling 12. So you can see over here we started with 8 plus 4. We're breaking 4 apart into 2 and 2 so that we can make a 10, and then it'll be easier for us to add. So now let's try. Okay, you've got your work mat. You can use the same one on page 29, or you can use a printed one. And then you're going to continue using your red and yellow counters. And this one says, use your work mat and counters, make a 10 to add. So you can make your work mat look like these, and you are going to move this yellow one up to the top to make a full 10. and then there are 4 yellows left over. So our new equation is 10 plus 4 instead of 9 plus 5. 10 plus 4 is 14, so 9 plus 5 is 14 as well. Let's try again. This time we are going to move up 3 to make a full 10 up here. Okay, so now we have 10, and we have these 2 left over, so our equation becomes 10 plus 2, which I know equals 12, so 7 plus 5 equals 12 as well. Now, you're not always going to be walking around with counters in a 10 map, but the goal is that eventually your brain will be able to do this. You will see 7 plus 5, and you'll automatically break it down into 7 and 3 because those are 10 pairs. And then you know that 2 more makes 5, so 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 2 equals 12. You will start to get to do that mentally in your head as you have more practice. All right, so a little bit of math talk here. It says name all of the facts you know that have a sum of 10. So again, I'd like you to pause, and I want you to write down all the facts you know that have a sum of 10. Okay, so I'm going to write some of those down. And we learned with the commutative property that we can add in any order. So we have 1 plus 9, and the opposite, that equals 10. The opposite of that would be 9 plus 1. Then we have 2 plus 8, 8 plus 2. 3 plus 7, 7 plus 3. 4 plus 6, 6 plus 4. And then we also have our doubles fact, which is 5 plus 5. Hopefully you got all of those down. These are facts that I would love for you to memorize, because then you can start thinking in tens. Okay, so it is now time for you to do your independent practice. You will be completing pages 31 and 32 on your own. You may upload pictures of them to schoolwork when you are finished.